All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Noragami, Season 2, Episode 1. All right, that means we're getting a new OP, Jacob?
Yes, we are. That's
probably a
right.
new arc
That's
of
gonna
story.
Be awesome. Yeah.
It's been cool to kind of talk with the community about this last segment of episodes as well, because a lot of our kind of little gripes and stuff and issues with it make a lot more sense now because it was filler.
Yeah, anime material.
Which, you know, in some ways I would say it wasn't that bad. It was
still
actually
pretty
like
good.
really strong, like good stuff. The animation was fantastic.
Held to the core tenets of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was a lot of good emotional moments with Hiyori that felt really strong. But I am excited to go back to the way kind of things were a little bit more with the trio as a trio. Yukine getting a little bit more focus as well.
Sure.
He was kind of the central conflict point of the original kind of arc of the story.
As can so often happen with parents and their child.
Yeah, stop fighting, Mom and Dad.
I'm also very excited then, if those 3 episodes were anime original content, what are we going to see as far as how the dynamic has changed between these characters post episode 9?
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's that whole thing of Nora talking about her father.
Right.
Which I'm guessing that's still just straight up like, yeah, that's what's going to be happening.
Right, exactly. It's just
in this
probably an
next
extra
segment.
teaser for what's coming up.
Right.
Because Nora is still around. She is going to be a big threat. And
She's
she is
awful.
also a window into Yato's past.
Right.
While Rabo was that as well, which means, hey, if we go into Yato's past more, which I would say we eventually kind of need to do a little bit more of, Rabo is basically an extra emphasis on that as well, in that he's basically the old war buddy coming back and being like, we have to go back to the way things were.
Yeah, even if he wasn't maybe a canon character thematically, he's still like it. He's
still relevant with regards to Yato.
Right, he's still relevant, right? Because there was a reason that in those anime original episodes they put him in there as a character in this specific spot in the story rather than something else.
Exactly.
So.
And we have, of course, our other characters, and I love our awkward, dumb family of Kofuku and Kuro.
Yeah.
Like, those two are just amazingly just wonderful. I love them. But we could also get a little bit more into the world of the gods as well.
Yep.
There's, Bishamon, Irvina, and, of course, Kazuma. We could get a little bit more into their whole dealings and such.
Dynamic.
Yep. But season 2. Let's go. So y'all, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below. Then come back here for the discussion. All right, Season 2. Introduced and reestablished where all the characters are at, what they're focused on, and then also which characters from Season 1 are getting extra focus and also focusing on the side characters attached to those characters. So Bishamon is like main deal focus in this upcoming bit of the story.
And I am so on board for that. Bishamon, like, I love her design as a character. I love her just retinue of other regalia and everything. There's so many like options for, crazy dynamics.
Bad company all over again.
Exactly. But then also the fact that she has such strong feelings about Yato means that there's a lot of conflict potential there. And the fact that we just got introduced to a whole manor, like not manor, M-A-N-N-E-R, like huge estate house full of regalia.
Right.
Like, okay, all right, I thought 7 or 8 or whatever we saw in Season 1 was a lot. No, this is a ton.
And she is a genuinely great, good, warm-hearted person.
She is the like a badass that also knows how to be like the kind person. Like
one of the things,
awesome.
Yeah, one of the things that is very powerful to do within characters that have a very aggressive introduction as a character is to give them an understandable contradiction.
Sure.
Her contradiction is that she will violently kill Yato if she sees him. But when she sees a broken spirit that's being harassed from the trials and tribulations in their own soul, leading to phantoms coming to consume them, she's like, yeah, I could help them pass, so that they're no longer suffering in that regard.
Yep.
But no, I'm going to bear the burden myself. There's
Right.
a little bit of ego in there because she believes that she can do this all herself. Now, she is doing this with all of her regalia. So
the arrogance of thinking you can do some good in the world.
Right, exactly. That's the, oh, wow, so arrogant, you know?
Yeah.
But she has helped so many in this regard to the point that she has a massive family of people that her and her squad basically take care of.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
And
That's so cool.
And so many of them that she can't keep track of them. Like because in the first season, we had, this wonderful exploration of Yukine and Yato's relationship and all of that stuff and how dangerous it could potentially be. So, of course, Bishamon is just like, what's one regalia? No, I'll have like 200, and any one of them could pose a very serious threat to my person and myself.
Because of the connection made within the bond, the oath of regalia and God.
But she does it anyway.
Like, even though they also are in a very interesting way that I hope they get into it in a very respectful way. They're kind of going into the idea of some form of spiritually broken and or like handicapped kind of aspect here, which is something that's really interesting to bring up because there's been a lot of like kind of more of like mental health kind of discussion with regards to things in season 1 with Yukine. But into this area, there's an idea that they are spiritually, in the physical sense for regalia and stuff, incapable of being used as weapons against phantoms.
Yep.
Because of the blighted nature in which they were saved. Like, so then when they were saved in that manner, like the one here, like Ryu.
Mine. Ryu or Mine or,
No. That's you're mine. That was her saying you're mine.
I'm pretty sure it was Mine.
No, it was like Ryuki or Ryoko or
okay.
Ryoki.
Well, yeah, the multiple names make things a bit complicated, but it's something where she wasn't just saying I'm going to save you and then leave you out in the cold. It's I will save you, and I know this is hard for me to save you this way because I need to literally cut it out of you, but I will accept you into my home. I will make you one of my own, and there you will be able to find a place to belong and heal from these wounds in whatever way you can, even though there is still permanent damage that has been done.
Right.
So, way to go, Bishamon. You are awesome. You are a true badass.
And it will be the end of you.
Yeah. Like, and this is
That's what they're foreshadowing here, and it's.
I think so because like she's so awesome.
Yeah.
She can't last, or that if she does, she is a huge target. She's a blazing target. And maybe this helps explain some of the differences between her and Yato, because Yato said, what was it, a spirit that's like not fit to be a regalia might as well be killed or whatever. Like that's strong language, and yet here Bishamon kind of accepted that and broke that rule,
right?
Because she made it so that they could actually become a regalia. She cut out the phantom part of them, which is brutal
in that it's something that they didn't really choose that.
No.
In some ways, she's basically saying, hold on, I'm going to step in, use my power, and save you, whether you want to be saved or not. And this is something that I think makes her a fallible character in a lot of ways.
Okay.
And that is that there are some who might not want to be saved. And it's not that they don't deserve saving or something like that. Who can judge that?
But a spirit that just wants rest kind of a thing. And
And in some ways, who's to say from an objective sense whether you're actually saving them?
Sure.
Because in the future, there's a possibility that if Bishamon does get stung, if Bishamon does get some blight and stuff, every single one of those regalia is in danger.
Right. Yeah. Like,
so
she seems to very much have like a savior complex, essentially, where she has to save everyone, and it's thrilling and awe-inspiring to see in action.
Right.
And yet, probably came from the whole situation with Yato and the backstory that we saw glimpses of.
Yeah, definitely on some level.
Right. And And it was also brought up that, yes, they still do have those human tendencies like we saw with Yukine in season 1. So things like jealousy and whatnot, those still exist.
Yeah.
Right? So it's sort of you're creating this new place, this new community, but what is it exactly? Because it's kind of, I feel like it's almost kind of similar to Hiyori in some ways, because a lot of them, even though all of them are Regalia, they're not doing the things that Regalia would normally do.
Well, that's the thing. Who's to say what a Regalia should be normally doing?
Sure.
Yukine is freaking learning how to do schoolwork and stuff.
Yep.
In some ways, I think that the whole nature of this from like any kind of a laws of the universe standpoint, there's nothing to say that a Regalia should or shouldn't do a specific thing. The point is that they are the responsibility of their respective god or goddess.
Right.
If that god or goddess fails to take responsibility for their Regalia in some measure, then the punishment will probably be meted out by those people in the OP. Do you notice those guys in suits or what have you? Those seem to be the kind of people being like, yeah, we're noticing some weird, they're like the IRS, like I would assume for gods, where they're going to come in at one point and be like, hey, what's with all this weird energy buildup over here?
And while I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a particular aesthetic for a particular god in their retinue,
right?
It could also be that, and then what kind of entity or whatever would command that much authority and stuff? Because even with the other guy, the old god, right? Like, I'm really curious to see what his sort of response is to Bishamon's way of doing things, because
I don't think he cares.
Well, and maybe he would.
He has a bunch of Regalia too.
Oh yes, that is very true.
Go around fighting phantoms, as far as we know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's my thing. I feel like it's as long as every god like takes care of their own, it's fine. And Bishamon is basically just doing that to the utmost, which has just some risk to herself, whereas all the other gods are doing things that are less risky with regards to their Regalia, where they like shut off Nora's like immediately, like they don't do anything. Kind of antsy or iffy in that regard.
Bishamon seems like someone that is going at this in such a fiery way that she could bite off more than she can chew.
Right.
And in the case of the old god, I forget his name, he seems like the absolute antithesis of that, where he's going at it so casually that it's no, I get other people to do things because I don't need to do things myself, you know?
Right. Now, I would say this is where Bishamon is actually excellent. The fact that she has a squad, she is already pretty good at delegating a lot of what she does to other people.
Right, acknowledging her own limitations and that she needs others, and it's wonderful.
So I would say, if anything, continue in that regard, Bishamon. It's serving you rather well. But we are seeing, though, with Kugaha or Kuraha, the lion Regalia with her, that he is in some ways connected to Nora via the masks, that we then also saw at the girls, the little baby's place or what have you, which means that there is some shenanigans going on in the background that we'll be getting into over the course of this season.
And you mentioned that it might not necessarily be Nora with the mask, so
that
Nora
doesn't have to be the grand puppet master doing all this. But she could just be one being that just happens to have that mask as well.
Like if, say her father, like that was, a thing.
Yeah, there's some stuff that could be going on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone also has their own life that they're going through, their stuff that they're doing here. And Yato is starting to feeling a little left out at the end there. You could kind of feel him being like, oh, everyone's got their thing that they're doing.
Yeah. Oh.
I would love to see the bonds that they have tested in that regard, where they also need to be willing to kind of lean on each other a little bit more.
Right. Because the thing with Yukine was something where it was a very... it was an unavoidable event from the standpoint that, it could not be ignored. Not that it wasn't avoidable, but it couldn't be ignored once it started happening, right? It demanded the attention of those around.
And thus episode 9.
Yep. With these situations that are being brought up, they're small enough, right? Even though the small things can really, hit the hardest, that it might go unnoticed or not addressed by some of the people until it snowballs out of control, right?
Like it could with Bishamon.
Exactly, like it could with Bishamon. And I could also definitely see something like that happening between Yato and Hiyori. Because Hiyori said, I'll stick around until you get my body fixed.
Yeah, and she's not necessarily meaning she won't hang out or be friends with you or anything like that. But she's saying, hey, you
need to
messed
get
up
this
and
fixed.
made this happen to me via some, a little bit of coincidences and accidents that wasn't entirely his fault.
But you said you'd fix it.
But you said
haven't.
you'd fix it.
It's been a season. We went through episode 9 together. What's going on?
Right.
If it's something where he can't, then that needs to be brought up honestly and say, hey, I may have overpromised.
Yep.
These are maybe the steps we need to do in order to get your body back to normal, or it just can't ever, and you will have to figure out what to do going forward.
Right.
Or I don't want to because I'm worried you'll leave me once I do, because I am the god that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
And
except everyone. Everyone knows about
except
Yato.
Everyone seems to also kind of know about Yato. So,
I really want at some point that reveal of that's not his name.
Yato?
Yato's the name he's going by or something. That would be really cool to
potentially.
Because everyone has different names at points, but just the idea of him having the name he was known by.
Sure.
And that Yato could totally be his real name, but it's just that he had a moniker or a specific, thing that he went by back then.
Speaking of names, not necessarily being what they seem, we got a new dynamic this episode, which I really appreciated, in that Yukine found a friend. Because since there's so many Regalia out there that don't necessarily always do Regalia duties, he could just run into somebody.
True.
Sure, strike up a conversation, get a friend. That's what he's been wanting. Awesome. I love it. But there were a couple things that happened regarding that.
Yeah.
One, you pointed out, and I can't believe I didn't catch this, the show skipped past when he told Yukine his name, but it showed Yukine's response to the name, which makes it seem like it's important.
Yeah.
So
why do that?
Maybe it was just a detail of there's so many Regalia, we don't want to cover it, but if this guy's going to be an important character, it seems like something we'd want to know. And given the fact that there seemed to be something a little bit sus, Kukaha's being sus with that mask behind the tree.
Was right next to them there. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he's spying on them for the purpose of tattling back to Bishamon. That could be that he set up this encounter and he's just making sure that it goes through properly.
Right, because if not everyone knows who Yato is, then you could definitely get something where the Regalia start using each other in order to collect information, spy, whatever, because where people gather, weird stuff happens in dynamics and things like that. And who's to say that it could just be jealousy? It could also be manipulation,
right?
And things like that, because they have their connection to Bishamon, but they don't necessarily have the connections to each other.
But they still were once human, and we know because of Yukine what is possible if a Regalia starts to turn into a phantom.
Yep.
It's something terrifying to behold.
It's terrifying and it's hard to fix. And
it is really hard to fix.
And if among 200, even just 10% of them start going crazy, or even 5%,
who's to say
how the hell do you deal with that?
Yeah, and who's to say that the ones that actually are capable of performing an ablution ritual are necessarily all the ones that, stayed good?
Yep, exactly.
This stuff spreads, right?
And does Bishamon, this is something I'm really curious about, because Bishamon has so many Regalia, right? Does Bishamon know where the negative feelings come from? Because I could see, now maybe she does, and if so, awesome, but I could see it being something where when you've got,
her and them.
Right, there's a connection, but if she has a connection to 200 different Regalia or whatever it is, right? Didn't get a really good head count on the
it's probably
massive
around
amount
75 to 100, I would say.
But even 75 to 100, I could easily see there being something where she just mistakes it for something benign, simple jealousy, whatever. That stuff happens all the time. They get, they deal with it, it blows over, etc. Right? But maybe it's actually something worse. Maybe it's from a whole different Regalia, and because they know there's this general noise most of the time, they figure out how to do things beneath the radar. I don't know. It could happen, maybe.
So one of the things that I've been curious about, the more and more we get into discussing this episode, Nora might be such a terrifying anomaly not because she's been with so many masters, but because she's made so many connections and she's still not a phantom.
Oh.
What
Gotcha.
kind of raw power could she have?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like the idea that Regalia could go the way of Yukine because of a bad thing going on between the master and servant relationship.
Yeah.
Which, okay, yeah, that was a good kind of focus point to get into it, and it got us connected to the characters. But what if that was just world building setup for it going wrong on a larger scale, and thus creating a new type of conflict where it's about rampant rogue Regalia, and then the personal connection is that we already are attached a bit to Bishamon and Kazuma, and they have to emotionally deal with the fact that this could bounce back to Bishamon in a really negative way. But if it's only like one at a time, I'm sure they've already have a systems for interventions where they basically go, hey, it's okay. You're loved. You're a member of the family. And it's probably this really wholesome, sweet thing that doesn't get into like, okay, we immediately...
ablution time.
Yeah, draw border lines and gets really intense and stuff. It's like, no. We've got, a community. We've been doing this for a while.
Yep.
Like, Bishamon has been around since Yato was a raging, like terrifying, murderer, bringer of war and calamity.
Yep.
So even if she wasn't necessarily like as active then as she was now,
that's a long time.
That's a long time to figure out your stuff. So I am very excited to see stages of this as it escalates, because it has to escalate. That's where all the foreshadowing is going towards. And then it's just who gets caught in the chaos of it.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I could see happening is, and this is kind of something that was sort of poked at a little bit with the anime original episodes from the first season, is how do you have big, high threat conflict without Bishamon solving everything, basically, right? And what we saw in the first season was that, she really hates Yato, so if Yato's involved, she might not be on her best game, her priorities might be a little bit askew, whatever.
That's what we got in episode 6.
Right, exactly. Good. But we also saw that when there are storms and things like that, Bishamon is on it. Right? When there was that crazy event, she fixed it. She cleaned house, she runs a tight ship.
Right.
So that makes me think that if some nefarious entity like Nora's dad, who, whatever they're like, or whoever, right? Yeah. Someone's out there and has ill intent, right? The biggest obstacle they would have to worry about would be Bishamon, right? Yeah. It's like, well, Bishamon's going to, come in like the cavalry,
small army.
right, and just wipe the floor with me. How do I deal with her?
Well, you get one Regalia to work against her a little bit.
Separate her.
Oh, yeah.
And that whole Regalia working against her, sowing that bit of discord and everything.
Cut anything.
Oh, yeah, because the amount of pressure and everything that she's under because of having however many Regalia she has, right? You gotta keep the gears very well oiled and everything running very smoothly, because a little bit of sand gets in there and the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
So... and we've seen that this episode with that little bit of, did you get stung? No, it's nothing, But...
well, hey, on some level, it's probably why she's in the pools so much.
Right. Lots of self-care.
She's very good at taking care of herself. And I mean, we get to see the results of her self-care, because...
and Kazuma does too.
I mean, Kazuma has the utmost respect for his commanding officer.
Yep.
And there's no impure thoughts.
Definitely no banging behind the scenes after a long day of work.
In some ways, I actually think that's one of the most impressively maybe weird things about this, is that given that there is a need for a pure connection between the Regalia and their god or goddess, the fact that Kazuma seems to be so loyal, so dutiful, more than any Regalia master connection we've seen thus far.
Yep.
Maybe only second to Nora's creepy obsession, except that's all kinds of messed up.
Yeah.
Just
that's more of a self-focused thing.
Yeah, exactly. Means that he is a diamond in the rough when it comes to Regalia.
And the whole concept of an ablution for Yato, she's like, that's absurd, right? And even when like Yato is mentioned or whatever,
right.
and then he like clenches his hand a little bit, and she notices.
Oh yeah.
She didn't like. She wasn't bothered by it. She just goes and takes her medicine and continues on with her day because she's like, because he's the trusted manager.
Right.
Whatever issues are,
Yep.
he's got it figured. I don't need to get in his way. Like I love their dynamic. I'm so excited to see more of it.
It's going to be tested.
It's going to be tested, though.
That's what I was building up to.
Yeah.
I can totally see ways in which Kuroha is trying to test it.
Right. And whether that's because of some outside force manipulation or whatever, or maybe it's just because he's like, hey, I'm her steed. I feel like I'm not quite appreciated enough. Who knows?
Or even if he's just got some ill intent, it's the strongest connection they have, in their group. It's between Kazuma and Bishamon. So why not just drop a little suspicion?
Yep.
It's innocent. I will never get suspected for dropping a little bit of a.
But I heard
it's a weird rumor.
Wanted to let you know since I'm sort of the number 3 here. I figured I would be the one to bring this up. But
although Jacob, you know what they might also be setting up here to be really cool.
Yeah.
Is an army of Regalia versus an army of Phantom Regalia.
No, I know, and that would be
pretty freaking
that would be
awesome.
so cool. Well, and also it'd be kind of chilling because what happens if you need a god of calamity? What does that look like
to stop
something worse, right? And the whole idea of Yato has killed a Regalia before, right? Maybe multiple. Right?
Singular. That's a good one. Yeah.
So, yeah, that.
Yeah. Good establishment episode. Kept the story extremely simple. Focused entirely on the really strong plot side of things with Bishamon, and then the world building there with her family, which is really wholesome and wonderful. But then we even saw some little cute moments and stuff, like Kuro kind of wanting to check in and see like, hey, how smart is our son that we've adopted, not adopted, Yukine? How's he doing? Oh, he's in 8th grade. Wait a minute, does that mean we had illicit sexual relations? Oh my god, Hiyori.
Oh boy,
the pain, it's hilarious. But then we also have little stuff like Yato trying to do what he can to boost their luck and stuff.
200,000 yen.
Bruh.
That's yeah.
Like, I make fun of people who buy those little lucky things and stuff like that when they're only spending like $3,
Right.
I'm like,
and then it's like, whatever.
Whatever.
It's sort of like the entertainment you get from the lottery ticket. It's not, it's not actually for the hopes of getting the thing, but just to be like, ooh, what if,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But oh my god.
But Jesus, Yato.
And you get 5 yen coins for your jobs. Like, did you set yourself back like 50 years? Like, how did you even do that?
Right. That's kind of the thing I have to hold a little bit loosely in terms of things with the humor, is that it's like, I don't listen to those numbers and take them that seriously.
Right.
Because he's doing his jobs for 5 yen coins, unless it's revealed like way later that this guy is actually like a thieving, like, crazy, like klepto, where he's like, he's taking all kinds of random shit, and he's got like this eBay business in the background.
No, see, he just decided to
stuff.
blow 4,000 jobs worth of payment, on, or no, sorry, 40,000.
40,000.
40,000.
Thank you. Yes.
That would be if he was getting 50 yen. No, he's getting 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I mean, he can teleport.
He can teleport, but
He's
still,
no Santa Claus.
No.
He's no Santa
he's
Claus.
not.
So there is some issues with this Yato. I'm gonna say you should probably make Hiyori or Yukine your financial manager.
Who knows? Maybe he's
Just
been
saying.
investing his money since he's been around for hundreds of years. 5 yen per job, but if you put it over centuries, get some interest on that.
Yeah, he accidentally invested in like a super mega evil corporation from forever ago, and he's just been guiltily like withdrawing deposits from it. And he says he needs a shrine, but it's actually just that he's like, no, I'm actually still just trying to make up for the fact that I was a horrible god way back when.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Penny
yeah.
stocks. No.
Oh, that's also a good point. Someone out there is 200,000 yen richer because of this god. So if anything, you could say that Yato is just helping the local economy by giving $2,000.
And if anything goes wrong, he can just say, it's all Kofuku's fault. You know, it's just because we spend so much time near her. Yeah. You know, I couldn't help myself.
No.
Yeah.
No, of course not. But I love these three characters, and I want to see that they figure out a way to build their family connection even stronger over the course of this season. And I love how this show handles world building and characters at the same time. Like it does it so well. And so more of that. More of that, please. But season 2, y'all, here we go. So thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
That's right. Wrote a sci-fi novel. If you like sci-fi, you should check it out. If you don't like sci-fi, you should check it out.
Yeah.
It's called Battle Lines. It's on Amazon. Links in the description down below.
Right. So if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.